I went to my girlfriend's sister's wedding, thinking I wouldn't know anyone. I did. When my girlfriend invited me to her sister's wedding, I said yes. Mainly because I wanted to see my a girlfriend in a dress. LOL. Fast forward to the wedding day, and we were watching the bride and groom about to say their vows. When it happened, I saw the groom's tattoo on his left wrist. My heart stopped. I knew that tattoo. I'd seen it in my nightmares for 6 years. It was the same tattoo the man who killed my 5-year-old brother had. I told myself I was wrong. Lots of people have geometric tattoos. It didn't mean anything, but I couldn't stop staring. The placement, size, the exact design. It was identical. Isabella squeezed my hand and whispered, "You okay? You look pale." I forced a smile. Yeah, just emotional weddings do that to me. The ceremony ended and everyone moved to the reception. I was hoping I could just blend into the background, maybe hide at our table until it was time to leave. But Isabella had other plans. "Come on, you have to officially meet my sister's husband." My heart was pounding so hard. I could hear it in my ears. We walked up to the groom, and he turned around with this big smile on his face. And as we locked eyes, he froze for half a second. I felt anger boil my blood. The last time I'd seen those eyes was in court, when the judge decided he was innocent for the murder of my little brother. All because his rich little parents knew how to make his crime disappear and make sure he got away with it. I knew he knew who I was, because that's when his smile changed. It wasn't warm anymore. It was a smirk. "Actually, I think we've met before," he said, taunting me. He then glanced at Isabella and back at me. "I just can't put my finger on it," he said slowly. "Weren't you at High years ago?" Isabella laughed. "Wow, it's such a small world." Before I could respond, the bridesmaids called Isabella over for photos. She kissed my cheek. "I'll be right back, babe. You two get to know each other." The second she was gone, his whole demeanor shifted. He leaned in close. His voice dropped to a whisper. "I remember you now. You're that kid's big brother. The one me and my friends attacked. What was his name again?" "Danny." I couldn't speak, couldn't move. My little brother's name in this man's mouth made me want to throw up. He gestured around the reception hall. "Your brother was so weak. Man cried like a baby. Begged us to stop." My hands started shaking. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to scream. But I just stood there, frozen. He continued. "You know what's funny? I didn't even do it for a reason. I was just bored. And your brother was an easy target. Just bad luck, I guess." I clenched my jaw so hard. I thought my teeth were going to fall off. "Why? Watch it?" I said. He laughed. "What are you going to do? You think anyone here would believe you? Her parents love me. Her sister thinks I'm perfect. It's your word against mine." He patted my shoulder like we were old friends and walked away laughing. I stood there for what felt like an hour. My whole body was shaking. This man killed my brother and got away with it. And now how? He was going to be at every holiday, every birthday, every family event for the rest of my life. And there was nothing I could do about it. Or so he thought. I pulled out my phone and found the video from the security camera that captured him attacking my brother. The one he didn't know I had. The one the police said wasn't enough evidence to use against him in the case. Isabella found me 20 minutes later. "Are you okay?" I immediately began pulling her outside. "We need to talk. Now." I'd never spoken to her like that before, and she didn't even know what to say. As soon as we were in the parking lot, I showed her the video on my phone. "This is your sister's husband. He's the one who attacked my brother. He's the reason he's dead." Looking back, I probably could have eased her into it more, but I could barely think. My head was clouded with anger. Isabella watched the whole video without saying a word. When it ended, she my phone and walked back inside. I followed her. I didn't know what she was going to do. She walked straight to the DJ booth and stopped the music. The whole room went quiet. 300 people were staring at her. She held up my phone and played the video on the speakers. Everyone watched it. Everyone saw him attacking an innocent child for no reason. My girlfriend's sister, Sarah, stood up. She didn't scream. She didn't faint. She stood with the rigid, terrifying stillness of a statue. The video on the projection screen, usually reserved for embarrassing childhood photos and sappy montages, froze on a frame of the attacker's wrist. The geometric tattoo was jagged, black ink against pale skin, clutching a baseball bat. The audio was the worst part. It was the sound of Danny. My Danny. 5 years old and begging. "I want my mom. Please stop." The silence in the ballroom was heavy enough to crush a lung. 300 people held their breath. The only sound was the hum of the speakers and the clinking of a fork someone had dropped in shock. Julian, the groom, the man who had just whispered in my ear that he killed my brother out of boredom, looked at the screen. Then he looked at the crowd. His face didn't show remorse. It showed annoyance. Like a child whose game had been interrupted. "Turn that off." Julian barked, his voice cracking. "It's a deepfake." I generate. Are you people serious? Look at who posted it. He pointed a shaking finger at me. That guy is unstable. He's been harassing me all night. Isabella stood next to the DJ booth, her hand still on the cable. She looked at me, her eyes filled with tears, and then she looked at her sister. Sarah turned slowly to Julian. She was trembling, the layers of white silk and lace vibrating. She looked down at his left wrist, covered by the expensive cuff of his tuxedo. Show me, Sarah whispered. Sarah, baby, don't be ridiculous, Julian laughed, stepping toward her. It's a video from. Show me your wrist, she screamed. The sound tore her throat. Julian stopped. His jaw tightened. The charm evaporated, replaced by the cold, dead look he had given me earlier. This is my wedding. You are embarrassing me. Sarah didn't wait. She lunged, grabbing his hand. He tried to pull away, but she clawed at his sleeve, ripping the button. The fabric gave way. There it was. The geometric ink. The mark of the beast. Sarah stared at it. She looked up at his face, seeing a stranger she had promised her life to 10 minutes ago. Then she did the only thing she could do. She slapped him. It wasn't a movie slap. It was an open-palm strike of pure hatred that echoed through the hall. Get out, she hissed. Sarah, my parents paid for this. Get out. Chaos erupted. Julian's mother, a woman dripping in diamonds and denial, rushed the stage screaming about lawsuits. Isabella's dad looked like he was having a heart attack. The groomsmen stood awkwardly, unsure if they should defend their friend or tackle a murderer. In the mayhem, Julian locked eyes with me across the room. He mouthed one word. Dead. Then he turned and stormed out the side exit, his mother trailing him like a harpy. Isabella ran to me, grabbing my hand. We have to go. Now. I'm not running, I said, my voice shaking. I ran for 6 years. I'm done. Mark, look at them. She gestured to Julian's family, who were on their phones, likely calling lawyers, fixers, and private security. This isn't a fair fight. Not here. We need to get Sarah and go. We found Sarah in the bridal suite, ripping the dress off her body, like it was on fire. She was sobbing, a guttural sound that reminded me too much of my mother on the day Danny died. I married him, she choked out, looking at me. I let him touch me. Mark. I didn't know. I swear to God. I know, I said softly. He told me he had a wild past, she whispered. He said he got into some fights. He never said he killed a child. Isabella wrapped her sister in a coat. We're leaving. Mom and Dad can handle the guests. The next week was a blur of legal threats and media storms. Because I had played the video publicly, it went viral before Julian's parents could scrub it. #the wedding confession trended for 3 days. But the internet's attention span is short, and Julian's family lawyers were sharks. They claimed the video was doctored. They claimed I was a stalker with a vendetta. They filed a restraining order against me and sued me for defamation, emotional distress, and the cost of the wedding, $150,000. I sat in my small apartment, staring at the cease and desist letter. They're going to bury me, I told Isabella. She was pacing the kitchen. She hadn't gone home to her parents. Her father was furious, blaming me for ruining the family's reputation and Sarah's happiness. They can't bury the truth, Isabella said. Sarah is filing for an annulment. She's meeting with the DA. The DA already dropped the case 6 years ago. I reminded her bitterly. Insufficient evidence. The video is grainy. You can't see his face clearly, just the tattoo. And tattoos aren't fingerprints. But we have his confession, Isabella said. He told you. He said he was bored. Hearsay. It's my word against his. Just then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered it on speaker. You think you're a hero, don't you? It was Julian. His voice was slurred. Drunk. I think you're a monster, Julian. I'm a god in this town, he laughed, a wet, ugly sound. My dad just had lunch with the chief of police. They're looking into you, Mark. Looking into your hard drive. Your past. Maybe they find something. Maybe you're the one with the dark secrets. Is that a threat? It's a forecast. You ruined my life? I end yours. Watch your back. The line went dead. Isabella looked at me, pale. We need more. We need something undeniable. Like what? Like a trophy. A voice came from the doorway. It was Sarah. She looked hollowed out, wearing sweatpants and one of my old hoodies. She had been staying in our guest room, unable to face her parents. What do you mean? I asked. Sarah walked into the room, clutching a small, velvet jewelry box. Julian, he has a thing about memories. He keeps things. From trips. From milestones. She opened the box. Inside wasn't a ring. It was a small silver key. He has a safe, Sarah said. In the boathouse at his parents' lake estate. He told me never to touch it. He said it was his investment portfolio. But one night he was drunk. He joked about his collection. He said it reminded him of how powerful he was. My blood ran cold. You think he kept something from Danny? Danny was wearing a watch. I said, the memory hitting me like a physical blow. A cheap, plastic Spider-Man watch. It wasn't on him when we found him. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. If that watch is in that safe, Mark, that's not hearsay. That's possession of evidence from a murder scene. The lake house, I said. Where is it? 2 hours north, Sarah said. And the family is in Europe doing damage control. The estate should be empty. It's breaking and entering, Isabella said, but she was already grabbing her car keys. It's justice, I corrected. We drove through the night. The anger that had been simmering in my gut for 6 years had hardened into a cold, sharp resolve. I wasn't just the grieving brother anymore. I was the hunter. The estate was a sprawling compound of glass and stone on the edge of Lake Arrowhead. It reeked of old money and silence. We parked a mile down the road and hiked through the woods. Sarah knew the code to the perimeter gate. December 18th, 95, she whispered as she punched it in. His birthday. Narcissist, I muttered. The grounds were dark. We moved toward the boathouse, a separate structure hovering over the black water. There's a security system, Sarah warned. But the boathouse is on a separate loop. If we're quick, we might have 10 minutes before the silent alarm pings his phone. We slipped inside. The smell of gasoline and lake water filled the air. A sleek speedboat bobbed in the slip. Upstairs, Sarah pointed. We climbed the loft stairs. There, behind a painting of a hunt fitting, was the wall safe. Sarah handed me the key. Her hand was shaking so bad, she almost dropped it. I inserted the key. It turned smoothly. The heavy door swung open. Inside there were stacks of cash, passports, and a wooden box. I pulled the box out. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I opened the lid. I stopped breathing. There were 3 items inside. A bloody bandana, a gold necklace with a broken clasp, and a red plastic Spider-Man watch with a cracked face. I fell to my knees. A sound tore out of me, half sob, half roar. I picked up the watch. I pressed it to my forehead. It still smelled faintly of rust and time. He kept it, Isabella whispered, horrified. He actually kept it. He didn't just kill Danny, Sarah said, her voice trembling with revulsion. Who did the necklace belong to? Who owned the bandana? Serial, I whispered. He's done this before. Or after. We need to go, Isabella said, urgency spiking in her voice. We have it. Let's go to the FBI. The local cops are bought, but the feds. Suddenly, floodlights blinded us from the window. Leaving so soon? The voice was amplified. A megaphone. I scrambled to the window. Down on the dock, standing by the boat, was Julian. He wasn't in Europe. He was right here. And he wasn't alone. 2 men, large and dressed in dark tactical gear, stood behind him. Private security. Or fixers. I knew you'd come, Sarah. Julian's voice echoed over the water. You always were too curious for your own good. And you brought the little brother. How poetic. He held up a phone. I just got a notification that the safe was opened. You have property that belongs to me. It belongs to the police. I shouted back. You're trespassing, Julian said calmly. And in this state, I have the right to defend my property with lethal force. My friends here, they're very good at aiming. He's going to kill us, Sarah whispered. He can't let us leave with this. I looked at the box. I looked at the girls. Is there another way out? I asked Sarah. The boat, she said. The keys are usually in the ignition. Run, I said. We scrambled down the stairs. Julian heard us. Get them, he screamed. The glass of the boathouse window shattered as a bullet tore through it. We jumped into the speedboat. I turned the key. The engine roared to life, a massive V8 beast. Get down, I yelled. Isabella and Sarah ducked into the footwell. I slammed the throttle forward. The boat surged, tearing out of the slip. We clipped the side of the dock, sending wood splinters flying. Julian was running down the pier, a handgun in his hand now. He fired. Pop, pop, pop. I felt a sting on my shoulder, like a bee sting, but I didn't stop. I steered the boat into the open darkness of the lake. Behind us, Julian was screaming, running to a second boat, a jet ski. He's following. Isabella yelled, looking back. Call 911. I shouted over the wind. Tell them we have evidence of a serial killer, and we are under fire on Lake Arrowhead. Isabella fumbled with her phone. No signal. We're too far out. I looked back. The single headlight of a jet ski was cutting through the water, gaining on us fast. Julian. He was lighter, faster. He's catching up. Sarah cried. I looked at the Spider-Man watch sitting on the dashboard where I'd thrown it. I looked at the bloody shoulder of my shirt. Take the wheel, I told Isabella. What? Mark, no. Take the wheel. Keep heading for the lights on the far shore. That's the public marina. I grabbed a flare gun from the emergency kit under the console. Isabella grabbed the steering wheel. Her face set in a mask of terrified determination. I climbed to the back of the boat. The jet ski was 50 yards back. 40. I could see Julian's face illuminated by the spray. He was smiling. The same smile he gave me at the wedding. The smile of a man who thought life was a game he couldn't lose. He raised his gun. I raised the flare gun. For Danny, I whispered. I didn't aim at him. I aimed at the water directly in front of him. I fired. The red phosphorus flare exploded into the water, blindingly bright. Julian swerved instinctively to avoid the sudden burst of light. At 60 miles per hour on black water, a swerve is fatal. The jet ski caught an edge. It flipped. Julian launched into the air like a rag doll. He hit the water with a sound like concrete breaking. The jet ski tumbled over him, a crushing weight of fiberglass and metal. I watched the wake settle. The light of the jet ski bobbed once, then pointed down into the depths, fading until it was gone. We didn't stop. We drove straight to the marina. We crashed the boat into the public dock. Police cars were already screaming into the parking lot. Apparently, gunshots on a quiet lake draw attention. I stumbled out, clutching the wooden box. My shoulder was bleeding freely now. Hands up, the officer screamed. I held the box up with my good hand. Evidence. I choked out. It's all in here. Then the world went gray, and I hit the deck. I woke up in the hospital 2 days later. Isabella was asleep in the chair next to me, her hand holding mine. Hey, I croaked. She woke up instantly. Mark, you're awake. She pressed the nurse button, tears streaming down her face. You idiot. You brave, stupid idiot. Julian. I asked. Her face hardened. They found him. Or what was left of him. Dead. Drowned. Blunt force trauma from the crash. I closed my eyes. The monster was gone. And the box. The FBI took it, Isabella said. Mark, it was huge. The necklace belonged to a girl who went missing in 2018. The bandana was from a transient man beaten to death in 2020. Julian. He was a predator. A monster. Sarah walked in then. She looked different. The heavy burden of the last week seemed to have lifted, replaced by a somber grief. They found DNA on the watch, Sarah said softly. It was Danny's. And Julian's fingerprints were all over the inside of the box. It's over, I whispered. His parents tried to hush it up, Sarah said with a grim satisfaction. But when the news broke that he was a serial killer, even their money couldn't build a wall high enough. They're being investigated for aiding and abetting. They might lose everything. 6 months later, I stood in front of Danny's grave. It was a crisp autumn day. The leaves were turning gold and red. I placed the Spider-Man watch on the headstone. The police had released it to me as personal effects once the case was closed. I got him, buddy, I said to the stone. It took a while, but I got him. I felt a hand on my back. Isabella, you ready to go? She asked. Yeah. We walked back to the car. Sarah was waiting in the back seat. She had sold her apartment, changed her name back to her maiden name, and was starting law school in the fall. She wanted to prosecute men like Julian. So, Isabella said, starting the engine. We have a wedding invitation. I froze. Whose? My cousin's. In Italy. I laughed. A real, genuine laugh that felt like it was breaking a shell around my chest. Does the groom have any tattoos? I asked. No tattoos, Isabella smiled. And I checked his background. He's a librarian. Good, I said, looking out the window as we drove away from the cemetery, away from the past. I like librarians. I touched the scar on my shoulder. It was a reminder, not of the pain, but of the victory. The rich kid thought he could buy the world. He thought he could buy silence. But he forgot one thing. You can't buy the truth. And you definitely can't buy a big brother's love. We drove into the sunset, not a movie ending but a real one. Messy, scarred but alive. And for the first time in 6 years, when I closed my eyes, I didn't see the nightmare. I just saw Danny smiling. And that was enough.